go. Okay, so starting recording. So, yep, today's topic is would you help someone from your culture slash country speak in English? So we just played the video that's not directly related, but at least it gives some ideas of the type of help that people can give. Whether it's um, maybe it's a little bit of tough love, right? Maybe it's a little bit of coddling. Maybe it's a little bit of allowing for the person to be heard, things like that, right? So with some of that in mind, or maybe for some things that you may have at least thought of, well, upon me sending out the notification for this, right? How would you help someone from your culture slash country to speak in English? So would anybody like to volunteer? And today's topic is just the one question.
For example,
Yep.
say these people, the dangerous street in my country,
Mm.
and say, no, going to this street is dangerous. Going to this is more accessible and it's not dangerous. Other way is listen and give the question where we're going to the visit or I don't know, for example, I'm going to visit a family in Mexico. Say the street and listen the street and say it's more easy going to this way, or is more uh, cheap going to the taxi. No, use the taxi.
Mm.
No, it's the only way. For example, other way, I don't know. Use the smartphone and say this telephone is the help in my city. No, I don't know.
So the whole like the first part you were mentioning about this street is dangerous, right? Uh, so that's like a very seems like a very direct practical use because there's something that you could show them. It's like, oh, don't go here. This is not good. Uh, okay.
And for example, it's the first time in Mexico. Say
Hmm.
the no, this dangerous, this street.
Hmm.
Going to this street or going to the I don't know, gives more cheap in this marketplace. No,
Yeah. So like that's an example. Um, remember, like mind you, right? There's no right or wrong to this, right? We're just like talking about stuff. Um, how you could try to help someone speak in English. And um, so for this, you can kind of start to see what the purpose of this, right? We're all part of this international English cafe. And although we might be trying to improve our English, yes, even me, um, we are also are aware that there's other people that are around us, uh, like physically nearby us.
yes,
So within our country and or culture that may also want to improve upon their English, but maybe they don't have access to some things. Maybe they don't know how to. Maybe they're maybe they're just very shy, right?
yeah,
So, what ways would you go about helping them, right?
yeah. For example, in my case, I live in Xochimilco. In Xochimilco, visit many people the USA, but the other day I go into the church
Hmm.
and one people is speaking English, but I, in my mind, I say speaking English or not speaking English. But himself, no? Say the person give me one question, the going to the marketplace, the plants,
Hmm.
and say for years going to this street
Hmm.
is the only say in this question,
Mm.
but help the person.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, because um, there are areas where maybe foreigners may frequent, and English would be the main way to connect. Um, so you'd want, or at least ideally, it would be good to try to speak in English to be able to make that connection. Whether it's to, you know, spell out for certain warnings, or it could be for other things, like in this case, probably even selling stuff, right? Mohammed, how about you?
Hi everyone. Uh, I don't have too much to say, but as I'm an English learner, I want to say something about my journey so far.
Hmm.
You know, as I said, I'm from a country where we don't speak English, you know, and I kind of doing everything by myself in English. Yeah, I don't have the money yet to learn properly English. That's why I'm doing all this by myself. And if I find someone else who's also learning English, the best advice that I would give to this person is first of all to not be afraid of speaking
Mm.
because all English learners, I would say, we all have the same goal, uh, maybe the same goal, because even if you're learning English for your work, you're gonna need at some point to speak it in English. So the ultimate goal in English learning is to speak it. So the first advice that I would give is to not be afraid of speaking and making also mistake because if you make mistake, it's not bad to make mistake, but what is bad about making mistake is not learning from your mistakes. But if you can learn from the mistake, you can basically move forward and improve your English. So what I uh, that's what I would say to someone who's learning English in my country. But since I started learning this English, I've never come across with someone who's learning English because
Mm.
in my country we uh, rather speak our local languages or French, but I've never came across with someone who speak or who is learning English. But if ever I come across one day, I would say that uh, just don't be afraid of mistakes and yeah,
That's a good
take your
message.
chance to speak.
That's a very good message. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you. For me, because I'm not an English teacher, so I cannot teach people like the way a teacher do. So also like Muhammad, I learned English mostly by myself. So the first thing I can do is to give people information that I know. For example, like we're living in Hanoi, I know about some English clubs, or I know some international website that provide some English course for free. So if someone is interested in learning by that way, I will share the information that I know to them. And the second thing I can do is I'm willing to practice English with people who like to practice with me as well. So for my friend, sometimes I tell them that we can speak with each other by English, even though we are all Vietnamese.
Mhm.
So if they like it, I can do it with them. By this way, we can learn together. So yeah, I think that's the way I do.
Nice. Sounds good. Colas, you rose your hand. How about you?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity for me to answer this question. So, first of all, I'm not English teacher, but I'm English learner too. So I will invite someone to use English for daily speaking, even to communicate the simple things like daily activity and habitually activity. And secondly, I will encourage my family, like my children and my wife, to speak in English too. So English is like first or mother or first language in my life. So I will encourage the other people in my surrounding area to use English, and I will persuade them to use it every day because English is not our mother tongue. We use in Indonesia, we use bahasa Indonesia, and uh, very hard for me to find a speaking partner here to communicate in English. So we have to start with our surrounding people, with our circle. I mean, yeah. Thank you. I have done.
Thank you. So, basically, practice speaking about daily activities and encouragement, especially encouraging your family to speak, since even though English is not like a language that everybody speaks, but it does help for people to move forward with their lives. So, just to encourage people, that's good. Nice. Okay. Any other brave souls?
I think that another way is, for example, when your family visit you, and for example, in my case, my mother language is not English. What I try to do when I have family that visit us, I try to help them because sometimes I don't understand what my family is telling them. So I try to speak with them in English. So it's a good way to improve my English, and sometimes I can learn new things from them. And another way is that, for example, there are places like well like this type of conversation clubs that is free, and we can speak with new people from around the world, and we can improve some our language. Sometimes there are many people who speak English too, but we don't know. For example, there is a silver man here that I met a few months ago, and he started to me in English, and I didn't know that he speaks in English. So he started to do it, and then we had a few conversations, and it is good because he sometimes he travels to the US, and then it's a good way to improve your English with people that travels a lot.
Mm,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Okay, so sounded like, if I got this correctly, helping out as like to be like a translator, uh, and then also like having certain spaces or places to be able to practice. So which leads you to make those kind of connections to find people to practice with. But also that this is spaces and places that you could help people around you to be able to join in as well, so that they can make those connections too, so for them to practice speaking English. Okay, cool. Let's see. I'm gonna start picking on people. Luan, are you there? I know you're eating, but like, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello.
Yep. So how about you? How would you help someone from your culture or country to speak in English?
To have someone speak English, I find a person that interest in English and speak together and sharing document and information and encourage and sporting together to learn English together. And I sharing the position institute to learn English long time and join any English group together. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, good. So in this case, finding someone that's interested in English, because not necessarily everybody would be interested. So making sure that they are interested in English so that you can actually practice together with them, be able to share information, materials, and also help join particular, in a sense, spaces. So in this case, English clubs to also practice. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Hi, Matt. Matt, how are you doing? Long time no see.
Thank you very much. I'm doing well.
That's good. I know you jump in and out pretty quickly, so I'm gonna try to get a hold of you fast before you leave. Today, today's question is, how would you help someone from your culture slash country to speak in English?
Yes, pardon, could you speak that again, please?
Okay. Actually, I should actually post this in the chat box.
His voice is choppy, I think.
Yeah, because his signal's not that good over there. Usually that's kind of how it is. So Matt, how would you help someone from your culture slash country to speak in English?
Well, by the way, I think I will try to learn as much as I can on any voice, because kind of sometimes I can have people gather together, drink coffee, and we talk by English. And sometimes if we have the opening, and I can kind of recommendation for them to join that call, that link to interact, and practice for their English. And kind of when I give a shot and I meet someone they would like to study English, and that I'm ready to talk English with them, because my purpose that I would have them to have more chance to practice English for themselves. Anyway, I can have them, on whatever I want. Get it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. You're making me jealous with your coffee, by the way.
Yes, actually, because sometimes if I meet a waiter and recognize that they can know English and I can talk English with him because I know that I think mostly the students they work part-time job, and I think one of English, they needed to learn and I know where they would like to speak in the fluency for themselves and after graduate. Yes, after one of them, I can have anywhere and whoever needed. Thank you again.
Nice. That's an interesting thought because from some of the people that I've talked to in Vietnam, some of them do work in the service industry and they do try to practice speaking in English with foreigners whenever they service them. Say like at a coffee shop, say at like maybe at the hotel if they were part of the hostess, right? Nice. Okay, how are you, Louise? You rose your hand.
Yes, I was remember two situations. The first one is there are a club of English in Argentina and Brazil. I remember is Mundo Lingo, and I don't know if it's in other countries, but it's the opportunity to practice your English, Spanish, French, another Portuguese, for example. I think it's a really interesting activity. I was in one time in Buenos Aires. I think it was really interesting.
Mm.
So another situation I remember when I was in Machu Picchu, Peru. I was doing a volunteer in a hotel. So I have problems. The tourists have problems with the Spanish, and uh, I don't know how I communicate the situation. However, I try to have the dictionary and translate what happened with the tourists,
Mm.
and I try to help us. And I think it's my principal motivation for improve my English.
Nice. So like basically a space to practice English. So we in this case Mundolingo, right? That's what in Argentina. And then the second time was like when you were in Peru and you were trying to help as kind of being like a translator because there was difficulty with English and Spanish involved, and you were able to be the bridge to connect both parties. So nice. Cool. Okay. Let's see. We're down to Anas. Looks like at least you have your camera on. So like, would you like to um give a crack at this answering the question?
I think the question is very easy. I think the important thing that you need at the first establishing your your foundation stage because you need to know what your level first and then begin with that level. I think the important is to go with the online academy that give you your level and give you the classes about your level. But I think if you are practicing randomly with combination with combination level, then you will be depressed and you will be fear about practicing with someone someone higher level than you because it is normal. I need to compare myself with others. But if I don't know, if I lack of knowledge about the importance of, I don't need to compare myself with others. I need to compare myself with myself. But what the last version of myself? I think if you lack of this experience, then you will be depressed. You will be afraid from the practicing. You will practice randomly with someone, and you will not we will not feel you have a progress in the future, because you need to go step by step, little by little, until you have a progress. Because English itself, it will be medium. It is not something that because your language as well, this is a medium to learn something. But if you are aligning this language with your field, with your career, with your knowledge that you need to cultivate based on this, practicing this language, then you will have a pleasure while you are practicing it. But if you go randomly there, here and there, and somewhere else, without surrounded, without like-minded people, then you will be give up soon. This is my point about this.
Okay, so establishing a foundation, and especially like if you're able to, like, ideally it would be good to go to online for this, like, or like at least in this type of space, and being able to find like your particular level, but also like practicing with someone with a higher level would be ideal, so at least you have something to work towards. Next up, you mentioned that sometimes lack of experience could make things discouraging, because instead of actually wanting to move forward, you want to retreat back and to your comfort zone of with something that's easier. So it would be better if you could at least forge ahead and try to gain that experience instead of trying
without momentum, without power, without something that push up you about the developing and evolving your level from level, and then you will be give up soonest, and you don't have something that giving you a pressure to go forward. So then I think, but the important thing, this is because it is how to say that, roadmap. It is a roadmap. It is a journey that you need to start from your level and go. Because English first, you will be lack of English. You have only a little vocabulary. You can't pronounce the words correctly, because you don't know how to practice this sounds, because the sounds itself has rules to pronounce correctly based on consonant, vowel, something like this. Because that need classes, that need levels to go with level by level, and then you will go to the struggling. Now you can synthesize, you can compose the sentences with a simple thing based in the connected speech or something related for the grammar, and then you go to the surviving. You have the practicing with native speaker, with someone with a high level, or maybe with the learner, with serious learner, but you have something to connect with and in line with, to be to take a pleasure while you are practicing. And then you will predict the fluency, and when you are in the fluency, then it will be medium, that you are practicing normally because you are talking like your language.
So let's retrace your steps back again, because you're talking a good deal of something that's maybe more like goal driven. You mentioned something, and then the next step was surviving, and then being able to practice with a native speaker, and then next up would be fluency. Yep.
Yeah, you will gain the fluency then, and you will be fluent. And English, it will be medium, and you can practice it normally with anybody else.
So before fluency and then surviving, what was the part first?
Struggling. You are struggling. Yeah.
Okay.
Struggle stage.
Good. There you go. Just wanted to make note of that. That's good. So you can see everybody, right? Like there's when you have kind of like a roadmap, or like kind of like a plan of how to approach this, then by being able to follow along the plan, that at least you feel like you have kind of a direction in which you're taking this, right? And that would actually be able to help someone with their English. So because like then you can actually kind of see like, okay, this is the way to the goal versus something where like when you don't have a plan, then you might not realize what is the goal? Like I don't know what I'm doing here, right? And then you might get discouraged and just quit entirely, right? But
But Tehan, what the fluency is?
yep.
What the fluency is? Fluency, three pillars.
Mhm.
One, delivery. You can deliver the thought in a proper way, appropriately, that one can understand you easily and effortlessly. The two pillars. The second one, it will be correction, internal correction, external correction. Internal correction by your grammar, by your memorizing about the grammars, about the connected speech rules and everything related to the pronunciation. For example, accents, like British accent, that the video, it will be by the British accent, not by the American accent. All the R's that were not erotic R's. So I can recognize I could have recognized this is a British accent because I've been in the school and academy, online academy called ABA, American British Academy, for 3 years now, maybe 3 years, more or less. I don't exactly. I don't know how long exactly I've been there, but this school give us three programs. First, about the grammars and the levels with the learning styles, speaking, listening, speaking, and role play, I think. And there is online classes all days, and 2 days there is 2 days off, and there is a micro lessons. What else? The last one, it is comprehension. This is important. If I don't have the comprehension level, then how can I get the pleasure while I am listening? Because I love listening, because this is the receiving process. But if I talk like this, maybe someone else, maybe they are irritated now. But this is based on my experience. I'm not talkative. I don't like to talk a lot. But this is about my experience. I will let chance for others to talk. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So you can see that like there's quite a bit in there, and it's quite methodical too. So I think this is pretty good with being able to provide at least a direction to how to help someone. So that's good. And then lastly, Irfan, are you there, Irfan?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, how about you? How would you help someone of your culture slash country to speak in English?
Yeah, actually, before helping someone, I think I have to help myself first, right? Yeah, the way I treat them or teach them is the way I learned at the first time. So, for me, learning English is not my really big things because for I don't have any at first time I don't have any goals why I should learn this as Mr. Anas say before.
Mhm.
If you want to learn and consist and mastering something, you have an intentions or a goals why you learn that, why we should take this. So the basic things that I start to learn. I start to think or why I should learn English and what is my goals. So it will give me a courage and help me to learn after that. So in effect, English is not my mother tongue. So in Indonesia, we don't speak English. So it's rarely, especially in my place, we just speak by our local language, not in Indonesian, but yeah, mostly we speak local language. So
Wow.
the best things that I did, or I mean, no, like I'm when I start learning English, yeah, as usually people try to buy books and look, starting learning when I was in junior high school. But yeah, just in class, after go out from the class, yeah, we just speak local English. So it's really hard for me to practice what I learned in my classroom. So uh, the the problem is I don't have any a place or circumstance can help me to speak English. So I decided to make any community like uh I look I gather some people at my place around me who have a same goals and things to learn English. So we gather together like in a place in a masjid. Yeah, in that masjid we try to speak. We have a tag like we don't need teachers but we need partners. So we learn together and we share together. So we share what we know. So even though we don't really care about how to pronounce some words, how to is it good or not, is it true or not about the accent or something. But the most important that I learned is learn English is tools. I mean, as long as my friends understands what I'm speaking, so the functions of the language is communications. So as long as we can deliver our message or ideas, it doesn't matter. Maybe I mean the accents or the vocabulary will go. The accents or the grammars will follow us. So the most important at that time is just talking about English. So at my place, we gather all, mostly, mostly people want to speak English, come to the masjid, and then we talk together about many topics at a time. So we will discuss. Almost three times a week. Yeah, 3 times a week. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the way I help my friends around me to speak English, just like making a club, English club, and then we starting to speak because we need partners, so we share our knowledge together and we try to speak together. And if we have any mistake or problems, we try to finish or how to finish. We try to solve it out together too. Yeah, that's all, Tan.
Yep. Nice. Okay. So the first part is just like before helping someone, help yourself, because in order to be able to help others, you need to help yourself first, so that then you would have, in a sense, the power to help others. Uh, Having intention and goals would help with that too. Um, you mentioned also like having a place and or community to practice with, because you don't necessarily need teachers, but you need partners. And the idea is being able to share what you know, being able to focus on just being able to understand each other and communicating, and such that grammar, accent, and everything else will follow afterwards. You also mentioned having a particular frequency of how to of meeting up as well in order to practice. Does that sound like it covered everything?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. But yeah, I think that that's a decent summary of what you had said. Some pretty good points. Thank you. Hi Pilar, how are you doing? Oh, there you go.
Hello, Than. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing? So today we just only have one question. We played a video earlier regarding help to at least kind of give an idea of like different ways that one could help people. So in this case, we're going to look more specifically with how would you help someone of your culture slash country to speak in English, or at least to practice speaking in English.
How would I help them?
Yep.
Okay, maybe. Okay, let's say the people want to learn English.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I think that's the first step.
Mhm.
The people want to learn. So I would say that they have to set a goal. A goal for me means like a smart goal,
Mhm.
like be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. For me, it's very important to set a specific or a smart goal. And I can help in setting this kind of goal. So, in when do you like to achieve what exactly, and maybe we can create a plan.
Mhm.
So it depends of the situation, maybe.
Yep. So that's a good point. Goal set was kind of mentioned earlier, but you mentioned specifically with SMART. So nice, being very specific, measurable,
Achievable,
achievable, relevant, and
timely,
or I think it's timely or time.
timetable.
Yep. But it's basically
I've seen both. I've seen timely and timeable, something like that.
I'm not really sure if timeable is a word, but like I think it's
Sorry, so it's time bound. No, I don't know.
yes,
I don't.
yes. I think that was what it was, time bound.
Okay.
Yeah, because it then denotes this idea of a time constraint, because you just don't want to continue this on forever. You want to make sure that you at least achieve the goal at some point. Otherwise, it's like if it just keeps on going on and on, then when are you going to achieve it, right? So that's the idea of that. So nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we got through everybody. So based on what everybody said, the consensus is mostly one, do they want to, or are they interested in English, or do they want to practice English, right? So I think that's the consensus of like where to start. From there, we've talked about things related to goal setting, right? And in a sense, having a plan, particularly even having a roadmap, which can provide a direction to help them be able to towards their English journey. Hi, Joel. How are you doing? Hola, Joel. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Puedes hablar?
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Hi, okay, there you go. I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, I have a problem with my internet.
Nope, no worries. Okay, so today's topic is Just one question, basically. How would you help someone from your culture slash country to speak, or at least in this case, to practice in English? So that's just the one question. So how do you feel? Because we kind of went through everybody already. By the way, Anas, are you taking a picture? Because if you are, you know, it's easier to do a screenshot rather than using your phone.
No, no, no.
All right, just giving you a heads up because there's screenshot tools that makes it a lot easier than just using your phone.
No, no, no. I didn't get a picture.
No worries. Because also too, if you do take pictures, like I it would be nice if you sent me some too, so I can actually be able to provide stuff for the Instagram. So that's all that is. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna use the recording that we have right now and then just screenshot from there. But anything that can help out will be appreciated. Cool. All right. So let's see. Joel, are you still there? I think his internet is still a little bit wonky, but at least to summarize, right? And then we can then go on to more about what everybody thinks. So from what I took through notes, yeah, for the most part, everybody mentioned things like making sure that the person that's um, wanting to practice is interested to begin with, right? Next up is like having a goal, right? So in this case, like having a SMART goal, creating maybe like a roadmap, but just overall having a direction in terms of their English journey, let's so to speak. And then from there, there was a lot of mentioning of having a space to be able to practice and or community, right? So this space could be in person, like a coffee shop, like Matt, where he'll have Vietnamese coffee and make me jealous all the time because Vietnamese coffee to me is the best. But also like you could have a virtual space where you can join online calls, right? There could be certain virtual spaces that might differentiate different levels of English so that you can have a kind of a step-by-step goal to improve. So other things involved was more personal, right? Which deals with your ability to build confidence. So don't be afraid of speaking. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. A lot of this is more of like a mindset, right, to have so that you can go forward with this. But obviously, it would help with your mindset if you can provide yourself that direction to begin with. This is me just summarizing everything. Technically, you can get into more specifics with a lot of this because there would be certain areas I think requires a little bit more focus in order to really nurture and develop someone's ability in English, or at least to be able to help them, right? By no means is anybody really a teacher. I'm not even a teacher myself. I'm not technically an English learner, but I am always still finding ways to improve my English. For my goal particularly, my goal is actually to practice listening to people, mainly because everybody do speak with a different accent. So being able to expose myself to everybody's different accent, then I can start to get a feel for how they speak, what is being communicated, and from there, it will just make it a lot more easier for me to understand. I think accents are beautiful thing, because then it actually makes it more in tune to where your original culture is from. And with that, there is kind of a uniqueness in thinking, that even comes through with the accent too, at least to what I like to think. So that provides kind of like this unique difference between what I know and what other people know. And that will allow me to have an interest of wanting to learn, because there's something out there I don't know. And that's interesting, right? So one of the, at least my goal for English is practicing listening. The other goal is more writing focus, in terms of creative writing, but that will be a different story. But other than that, let's see. Does anybody have any particular thoughts with what I just went through? Because, this is basically whatever you guys have provided, and then I'm
I
just
think when we say all the time listening, I will maybe we would deceive ourselves about this, because I think without speaking you can't listen, and you can't recognize what the accent that surroundings, because it is a matter of the comprehension level. When you have a comprehension level, then you will take a pleasure while you are listening, because there is a surrounding, there is something talking. Or when you are listening, for example, for the audiobook, or someone else about the podcast. Now we have the podcast as well. When you are listening, you take a pleasure while you are comprehend what they are talking about. I shared now in the group about how you really learn, and I think the most active learning methods, it will be about how teach someone else.
Yeah.
90%, and 75% practice what one learn. The 50% it will be engaged in a group discussion, and then the passive learning, because this is the active learning methods, and this is a paradigm. I think I shared already in the group. You can see the image, and you can see the text as well. The passive learning, it will be about view a demonstration, watch audio or visual, and read and listen to a lecture. And this is a passive learning method. And this is and the other one, it is active learning methods. You need to set a combination between them, and because this is a versatile with active practicing, you need to practice in everywhere. Listening, watching, and practicing with the focus group. But I think when you have a high level, then you will take a pleasure while you are practicing, because there is a goal, there is something you are aligned with, based on your purpose, based on your goals. If you only make it for the pleasure, and then without any goal, without any progress map that tell you where are you now, because it is a level, this is as is, and there is a target, there is in between terrain that you have to walk on, and until the stepping stones that will bring you to other targets, because it is a state that you need to jump on until you get your what you want.
Yeah. So when I was mentioning in terms of listening, I said it's just my personal goal, because as you can see, I really don't need to get that much more further with English. But for me, it's just because
you are living in the native speaker country.
What I'm saying is, right, like just for me, right, like since as an American, I might not have as much exposure to other accents. So this would be my just personal goal. But for other people's goals, they would be something different, right? And then that's where they would need to develop their goals for that. but seeing what you had posted, yeah, how you really learned, you retained this percent of knowledge. It basically has a let's see, it's a square based pyramid kind of scheme, or is it triangular based?
Can you share it in the
Yeah, we could just copy the image like this and send it into the chat box like that, right? But yeah, this is pretty interesting stuff. So you can kind of start to see there's like a we're getting a little bit more technical at this point with you know, the little nitty-gritty of helping and or learning in this case, right? Because everybody actually does learn differently and or different ways, but being able to kind of like have a way to process through that does help out. So this is a nice infographic, I would say. Thank you. But let's see. Overall, I did take a whole bunch of notes. I'm going to somehow compile this together to have a kind of a summary of what we went over. But overall, I think this is pretty good stuff, right? I think this topic in itself too, would be helpful because we do have quite a bit of people that have a tendency to be shy when it comes to practicing their English. So I feel like a session like this where we talked or like we're sharing amongst ourselves how to help people practice English could be a way to allow them to be more encouraged by wanting to practice. But other than that, this is actually it for today's meeting. It's just the one question. I'm keeping it short. This week has been a very busy week for me, and I'm probably going to conk out soon, which is why this meeting is not going to be that long of a meeting compared to my other meetings before. But other than that, does anybody have any particular comments, questions, or thoughts?
Oh, okay. Could I?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dick, and everyone. And my point of view, because I heard that you mentioned about the accent and pronunciation, and for different levels, learner. And for me, the first of all that I would say just practice and practice and practice, right? Because kind of for pop-up English, we should be parallel from the learner, right? But for me, I think listening skill that I will focus first because I would like to understand from the partner what they're talking about, right? And then because if I understand with that and I can talk, my body language or my speaking skill, because we have different options to respond for them. And that's the first thing that I would like to mention. And the second one that between the accent and pronunciation, and which one I can use and focus first for me. And I think I would like to try to improve my pronunciation because just pronunciation for everyone can easily understand with my talking about. And when I can kind of perfect with that talk of English. And second one, I will prioritize on the accent because I can mimic, when I feel, I'm very, very perfect about my pronunciation. And then I can mimic to American or English accent. That's second priority for me. And by the way, I would like to mention about, okay, how much we can focus in English. And that about I would like to take, any questions to anyone. Because if we do not have passionate about English, about languages, and how we can, um, kind of enough energy and the passion to learn on those stuff. And that about, I would like to make clear with that. Okay, if we focus on studying something, someone, and we should focus, 100%, and effort and as much as we can on that thing. And that about I would like to make clear. For me, even though my English is not so good right now, because my listening skill not so good, and speaking also the same with that problem so far. But I never give up, my chance to join any course as much as I can, because I know that the way to practice for me to grow up faster than other one, and that frequently, join any course and to interact with everyone, because I know that clearly. But I have a little bit the problem about, sometimes I'm still shy, to join to talk to strange people, and that I should over, myself about that problem. But I think it's gradually can, improving a lot about that problem for me. And now I feel, confident myself to talk to everyone, and I can answer, any questions from the host as well. And that I would say, okay, solid ourselves and confident ourselves, to come in and to interact to everyone. And I think I am not say, in short time we can speak fluency for itself, but it's take time. But how much your passion, right? And how much you there to join to Enrico. And I think that the way, to make us to improve faster and faster in English. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Just to let you know though, in terms of your pronunciation, you have improved a lot over the years that I've known you. Because you went from a lot of mumbling to actually speaking a little bit more clearly. I think also too, because you've been joining a lot of Norris's call. He's been I think he tends to do a lot with helping with pronunciation. So I think his influences have been helping you quite a bit too, Matt. So just keep it up, right?
Yeah.
And
thank you very much.
And I think you've been improving a lot for the past, let's see, because I met you like 2022-ish, right? Or so. So yeah, you've been improving for the past at least few years already. So good job. Just keep it up.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Anybody else?
Yeah, I already shared the roadmap for the fluency roadmap that I told you before. And there is a key to fluency success, and there is a sentence. This will, if you insert it in the ChatGPT and tell them about, tell the ChatGPT about your level, about your symptoms, they will make you a good analysis, because this is the result of my retrospective analysis that I did recently. And because I feel myself in the surviving stage in English fluency roadmap, characterized by the individuals who have foundational knowledge of English but are still working towards fluency. So you can read it and find out what's your level. Based on that, make a plan or ask ChatGPT what I need to do. Maybe they will enlighten you about about what you want to do level by level, because I used to learning by the ChatGPT and discussing the topics with the ChatGPT, because this is a good opportunity. Now AI will help us, but we need to utilize it in the proper way, because if you use it randomly, without arbitrary, without any plan, without any roadmap, without seeing where are you now and what you are good at now and what you need to do in the target goal, you don't have a progress, or you will not have a progress.
Cool. And I see your English fluency roadmap: mute, struggling, surviving, fluent. Very nice. It's a very nice infographic. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so anybody else?
Yeah, I'm struggling in reading, because reading is my concentration now. I'm focused on the reading, because when we have a confidence while we are reading, or mimicking or replicating this voice by the YouTube audiobook YouTube, then we have the confidence in ourselves. Because if we lack of trust or confidence, then we can't practice easily.
So, since you're focusing on reading, like, is there certain areas or that you find yourself tripped up with in terms of reading?
Yeah, connected speech.
Okay, so connecting what you read and connecting it back to actual like spoken words.
Yeah, because I need to read out loud. Then I need to mimic the auto reader or the reader who reads. So when I need to replicate their voice, now I'm struggling to make mimicking their voice and their pace, because it is a fluency.
Other than that, do you find issues with the vocabulary in things that you have read, or
Of course, yeah, of course.
And then also like for reading, do you also there's supposed to be like reading tricks where it's a way of how to skim through the material so that you can understand what has been that has, or what was written, or like to quickly understand what was written. So there's even that kind of reading too. I don't know if that's also that you're wanting to do for reading, but at least seems like to make that connection with the spoken word and vocabulary, that makes sense at least.
Yes. I think in upper level you will find it easily and effortlessly, but there is a difficulty.
Yeah.
There is a difficulty. We can't, in realistic way, there is the learning process difficult. If you don't have a momentum, if you don't have a good will and goal and purpose as well, you will not pursue this learning process easily.
That makes sense.
For example, if there is no surroundings English language learners, or there is speakers, so it is difficult. But nowadays we have this social media opportunities, and I have the schools that because I embrace and adopt this learning lifelong learning style now.
Cool. Okay, let's see. Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, or questions? Okay. With that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Yeah, this is usually a little bit more sooner than compared to other meetings, but yeah, this has been quite a
But
busy.
you are hearing it from us, but we didn't hear from you.
Oh, in terms of like how I would help people
Yeah.
practice. Good. Okay.
Yes.
So for me, one of the things I would do is my focus when it came to my MBA was a little bit more towards like coaching. I found that out of all the things in terms of learning, in terms of leadership, I found that my ability to try to coach or encourage people was more of my strength in order to at least influence them to get to work, or at least influence them towards motivating to them to do whatever it is that may be. So the ways of how I practiced this was Pokemon Go. There's an aspect of the game where it's where there's a cooperative gameplay. You have to have a lot of people join together in order to complete certain let's say battles or tasks together. So if you don't do it together, it's impossible. You just can't complete it. So this is where how to organize people that literally are strangers. You don't know who they are, yet you all have one common goal, which is to catch them all, right? So it's kind of amazing how you can just bring a bunch of strangers together. You don't know who they are, and somehow they will listen to you because you have created some sort of reputation of being very organized and being able to crowd a bunch of people together, right? So that's kind of like what I've been doing for, let's say, several years now, because Pokemon Go came out at around like 2017-ish, where they introduced the gameplay. The game itself came out 2016, right? So for the past several years, this is just me practicing, being able to constantly talk to people and coach. And then what I did is I'm just using that and putting it towards other realms, right? So towards work. And in this case, I've been helping people practice English. So aside from this weekly meeting that I would host to help people practice speaking in English, and maybe perhaps also inject particular other knowledge or tidbit of experiences or skills, there is a daily Google Meet call that I also not help host, but that I also participate in. This is a call mainly for those in Vietnam, and they join every day. It's just us hanging out and more like an office hour. So it's called the night owl call, in parentheses, office hours. So for those that might not know, hi Maria, welcome to the call.
Hello.
So for those that might not know, this Google Meet call, I set it up, but it's been set up at least currently to be more like an office hour where people can just jump in, they have their questions, and then afterwards they jump off and they do whatever it is that they need to do. A lot of times it's a bunch of us that live in the US that are Vietnamese, and we're just sitting on the call, kind of hanging out with each other. And when there are people that jump in with their questions, we help them out and then they jump off. Because it's daytime for us, whereas nighttime in Vietnam for this type of call, we're technically working. So we're just, whenever we're at working from home, we're just working, and then we just have to call on. And when somebody jumps in, we can just help them with whatever the question is, and then they just jump off. Previously, it used to be a call, especially during the pandemic times, where people would come in in higher numbers, and then we would have kind of an English meeting, kind of like this, but in a more increased frequency. But as the pandemic waned away, not a lot of people join because people are more focused with preparations for work, and or some of them are burning that midnight oil working or doing schoolwork. So instead of trying to hold meetings in that call, we're just leaving it more like
Let me check first because I'm confused about if I understood or not. You are talking about the leadership and the language itself. So there is two factors. There is two factors now. There is a language and there is a competency like a leadership and public speaking and capability, new capability. I think it is very difficult to start with non-native speakers talking, teach them about this, coach them about public speaking or leadership and language.
It goes back to Irfan's thing of before helping someone, you help yourself. So for me, I don't have an ability technically in public speaking like years ago. So this is me helping myself. Then what I did is now I have these skills and I see this need that people are wanting to improve upon their English. So I've been helping in this one particular Google Meet call. So that's the second part. Not helping them with public speaking, nor am I
informing stage. Now you need to coach them about this, but how can you interact with them by other language if they don't understand the English?
Like I said, Vietnamese, and I'm of Vietnamese descent. Yes. So
by language.
That's the connection. Yeah.
Bilingual. Yeah.
But like that's good questions to clarify because because it does sound confusing as to like what is Todd talking about, right? So like those are good questions. Cool.
Yeah, I get confused about this because I imagined only the public speaking. It is difficult because it is a competency and native speakers struggle with it.
Yeah. It's only until like more recently, like last year, summertime, not more technically last year in the spring, I jumped into the International English Cafe. One of the English learners from the Vietnamese group would join this group, and she posted a link. So I jumped in, thought it was kind of interesting, and then was reached out. I was like, hey, you want to help out? And kind of thought about it. I was like, okay, sure. Right. Because at the time, like I said, my goal is to improve upon my listening skills for accents. Just me personally, just because I have a hard time listening to people. It took me a while to understand Indian accent, but over time, like because the company at the time that I was working in, most people spoke with an Indian accent, so that did help out with me being exposed to that. So now, thank you. So now like it's trying to understand other people too. This is kind of like why when certain people, when they talk, it might be kind of difficult to understand, but then because I've heard them talk enough times, then I start to kind of get the idea of like what they're saying. And I've been trying to use that as a way to kind of create like a connection where they will say something, and then you'll notice that like I'll try to summarize a little bit of what they're saying, just to make sure that did I get it right. And then from there we can kind of like get this idea too, like because I'm also communicating out to all of you, then you guys can hear from my summary like what they're saying, and then so that kind of confirmation of like, did I get their accent right? Did I understand them right? And then like if I did, then like whatever I'm communicating, then everybody else hopefully would be able to get it right as well. This is also assuming that I don't speak too fast, because I also understand that there's going to be times where like, yes,
So
Matt
let me
told me to
do
slow down.
thought-provoking. Let me do thought-provoking about that. Now, when you are struggling with the accent, I think you are struggling with the low level speakers and the slang levels of knowledge and these expressions and idioms that you have experience with. How did you get catch with this language and these expressions? Did you have methodology
Well,
techniques?
so like if you're talking about idioms in other languages, I'm not learning any of those.
No. When we're talking about the accents
Yep.
and the other people talking in low level language, they were using this the slang language or expressions or idioms or
Oh,
something
if you're talking about me understanding Vietnamese,
Yeah. No, not Vietnamese. When you are talking about when you are surviving in a survivor role about learning the accents.
learning the accent,
Yeah.
just sheer exposure, really, because being able to hear what they're saying and how they're pronouncing it or how their accent is, right? And then being able to connect it with that written word, at least mentally. Then from there, like whenever they speak that word, then I'm able to make that connection. This is, I don't know if there's like a real methodology aside from just um, being able to make those intuitive connections. Um, Maybe this is something where like I just practice listening a lot. For me, where I practice listening is, let's say like there's music in a different language, right? So I don't know how to speak that different language, but I listen to their music or song maybe like 1,000 times, and then I'll copy how they pronounce it. And then whenever I feel like singing their song, then I just copy. Like I'm just a parrot at that point rather than like understanding what I'm saying because I don't even know what I'm saying. I just know that I'm pronouncing the words fairly close enough. Um, so I've been told that like when I do pronounce in whatever those words may be, whether it's Vietnamese or other languages, I've been told it sounds quote unquote cute because it's not exact, but there's kind of a sense of personality because I have an accent when I'm pronouncing it out that way. So obviously it's not going to be exact, but it's just yeah, somewhat close enough that they'll understand what I'm saying. But funny enough, I won't understand it because especially when it's a song, I don't know what the song is saying. I just know just like, oh, I'm just singing along, really. Like I do this a lot with Chinese songs, especially because I don't know Chinese, but I just know how to pronounce whatever the words is in the song and then just sing along. So it's like stuff like that. So when it comes to other people's pronunciation, I kind of imagine the same thing. Like just listening to them enough times do the same thing and then being able to kind of make the connection that's like, oh, this is what they're saying. Cool. I'll notice certain patterns, especially because as a Connecticut man, we do have some issues with how we pronounce our T's. So, for example, mountain, for people in Connecticut, it would be mountain.
Oh,
I'm gonna drop your T, right? Britain instead of Britain, button instead of button.
Button.
We do also do the whole water, like making the T into a D sound instead of water, right?
Water,
Yeah.
British water.
Yeah, right. So you can start to see like, there's like the influences of accents, right? Where like certain letters might be dropped or the pronunciation might change. Like for example, like if you do like Cockney English, right? So like not a British English, but like or I mean this is like a form of British English called Cockney. It's like ba'o or wa'a, right? Like kind of
This
like
is
that. Like where they
dialect.
really
This
drop
is
their T.
another dialect in British language, I think. Maybe Scottish. I don't know
It's called
exactly.
Cockney.
What?
Yeah. So that would be called Cockney. So it's not necessarily Scott. Like it's kind of like a very layman's term type of pronunciation of how they would speak versus actual London accent where they actually will pronounce all their letters like water, right? The way they pronounce their vowels are different too in terms of when you compare like a London accent versus like a standard American English accent. So it makes things very interesting when with that with just in terms of accent like that too.
Yes, that's what I learned about pronunciation.
Yeah.
Like in American accent, if T stand in front or after N, you will drop it.
Yeah.
Both of them a little bit. Stop T, both of them it will be in stop T.
But like, those are some examples, right? And then like especially when you get to like the Southern drawl, it's a way of where you're stretching out, especially the vowels, right? And then they pronounce their vowels like A, I, O, U, and why instead of Y, but why. So when there's certain words that have the letter Y in it, you would
arguably
pronounce it.
There is a major difference between American accent and British accent. I attended 10 classes or more about the differences between a British and American accents because my school name American British Academy. There is a combination between teachers there. We have lessons by British accent and we have another lessons by the American accent. So we have the combination between them, and we have classes about. We have classes about the differences between them. But what we concluded at last, this is a domestic thing. When you get live in the Britain, so you will learn this British accent because there is a major difference and there is in vocabulary, in grammar, in pronunciation, in everything, in the slangs as well. Like what you said, the water. So there is many differences. So if you need to live in the Britain, so you will learn this because you will live with them and you have interact with them, and it is easy to get these differences. But in standard English, you will only you need to get focused on only this the major differences. This is the little differences between them because there is a standard English.
Yeah. Because also too, when you get to the different American accents, like the Southern drawl, right, or Southern twang, there's New York, there's Californian, right? Like there's lots of different types of accents out there.
Dialect or accent?
I wouldn't call it's not even, I don't know if you could call them a dialect. I would go because it could because it's the way they pronounce their words, right? It's like that's why, like, for example, with a Southern drawl, like especially with the Y sound, it's not like Y, but why, like as if you're writing the
This
word.
is dialect. This is dialect. Even though in Arabic, because my native language Arabic. Now I can't understand Moroccan.
Well, like because like I think with dialect, it also involves like the vocabulary, which would make it different. But if you just look just specifically at the pronunciation, I think this is where it would just mainly be an accent type based type thing. This is why like when I'm getting to the example, why, right? It's not like for example, Wyatt or like Wyatt, like 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 they're trying to still insert that W to go along with the Y.
I think this is related. This is relevant for slang pattern that you need to learn during living with them, interacting with them. You can't impress all of them or
well, like so that's why like for me and in terms of a dialect, that's like if you're incorporating the specific vocabulary that goes with that, that would be one thing. But when it comes to just specifically a pronunciation, Wyatt is a name, right? So, but then they'll pronounce that Wyatt, like to try to just still incorporate that W, even though there's already a W already. It's kind of a weird type of thing.
Is it regional?
Southern drawl. That's like it's very specific, right? Which is why like because like the dialect itself, like the Southern dialect, there's going to be certain terminologies that will be shared amongst regardless of the accent. Because aside from a Southern drawl is a Southern twang, right? So a drawl has a more long and drawn out type of sound, whereas a twang actually has like a little bit more kind of like think about a guitar where it's more short and curt. The vocabulary that they'll use will still be relatively the same for that dialect, but how they pronounce words or how their accent for those words will be different, just because of how they either make it long and drawn out or give it that little like very short and curt type of sound. It's kind of weird how the Southerners pronounce things, which then is even different from when you go to like Cajun, right? Which is more of a Louisiana type accent and so on and so forth. So like this is kind of like why I kind of have an interest in listening to people's accent, because not just even globally, but like just within the United States, there's just various types of accents. Like a cup of coffee, right? That's a little bit more New Jersey and New York, right? So there's kind of like this Italian influence as if like they're like mafia type. It's kind of weird, but there's something like that. Or like if you go more toward New England, like park the car at Harvard Yard, like their issue with pronouncing their R's with that.
Are you
Like
able to recognize the meaning by the context or not?
the meaning?
Yeah, because some like homonyms or homograph or homonyms, because they are recognizing by the context. You can't recognize it by the sound, because it is a homograph. They have the same sound.
Similar at least, right? Because for me, I'm not trying to listen for exact pronunciation. I think it's probably because I did not grow up with listening to exact pronunciation of things to reinforce this idea that like if it's not that pronunciation, then I don't understand. Like the US is quite diverse, so I have listened to a variety of accents. A lot of it tends to be a little bit more urban. But aside from that, because there's such a proximity with how things are pronounced, I can relatively understand a good deal of American accents. There's going to be certain ones that are a little bit tough. So the accents that you might find in like certain areas, Kentucky and Tennessee, where it's this very unique Southern sound that sounds like it's garbled mess, but they are actually saying something, right? It sounds like they're like mumbling, but they're actually saying actual specific words. The mumbling is actually part of their accent, or a type of Michigan accent where has this blending of Canadian accent to go along with it. So there's a little bit of French influence, a little bit of Canadian, and whatever that upper middle area of the United States and how they pronounce things. Hi, Bassett. How are you doing? Welcome to the call. We're just closing things up, but we kind of got to a point of regarding accents. But hi, how are you?
Hello, Mr. Tom. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Yeah, I came a bit late. In fact, I was busy today. It's nowadays it's fasting month of Ramadan, and we have to do a lot of things. So, what I understood that you've been talking about accents. So accents, or one thing just I wanted to add. While talking about accents, that accents should be clear enough to be understood by the native speakers, because they always irritate. If you do not speak words with proper accent of that language, the native speaker may get annoyed, and your words may lead to a misunderstanding. That's what I have to say. So
Okay.
just focusing on accents is a must while learning a language. Thank you. That's what I had to say.
Cool. Have you ever heard of a Scottish accent before?
Yes, I usually on everyday basis I come across many accents like from UK and America, and some of them are entirely unintelligible for me.
Yeah.
So, so I prefer Americans and BBC accent. These are the only two accents which I can understand. But most of the accents,
for English accent, right? Or
yeah.
the different type of English accent, like the general big three would be British English, American English, and Australian English, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then within the big three, there's different types of accents under each of those three. And that's where things get a little bit interesting. So under the British English part, when you have a Scottish accent, those are technically native speakers, yet to understand that, that's very difficult.
Sometimes
I
it's
think this is
Cockney, it's very difficult. Cockney, to understand Cockney accent of UK English, that is even
Yes.
Sometimes it becomes a problem for
Yeah.
non-native speakers like us.
You can hear a good deal of Cockney, especially when you watch any of the Harry Potter movies. There are some characters that speak.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's true.
So I would say like that Scottish or Welsh type accent tend to be very difficult. For American English, it would be that either it's the Cajun type accent, or it's the accent either from Tennessee, Kentucky area, like the mountainous southern area, or the accent in Michigan. Like there's this like I can't even do it like for the life of me. Those are pretty difficult American accent. And then as for Aussie accent, I think there's an area in Australia that have a very difficult accent for them particularly to understand. Because relatively speaking, Australian accent sounds kind of similar to British, except there's still a little bit of other distortions in their words. But I think there's from what I remember, a particular province that's
what kind of distortion? They devour the words or something else?
Well, because like they'll say certain things that are similar, like crisps, right? Instead of potato chips, they call them crisps, right? So the SPS sound at the end of crisps, right?
Crisps, I think British.
Yeah, but then also Australians would use that too, right? So they will have certain similarities like that, but then they will have other differences. I think, like for example, the word no. With Australians, it's really pronounced because it's new. as in like as if they're pronouncing it as NU instead of NO. It's kind of really wonky when you hear them speak with something like that. I can't
إذا present
do
or not.
Australian. Yeah, I can't do Australian accent, so I can't provide any examples. But then from my understanding, I think there's a region inside Australia that they speak makes things a little bit more wonky because basically with Australia, most of the population is along the coast. So the inside of Australia is not as highly populated. So the kind of ways they talk in that inner area tends to be a lot more different, um and it could be unintelligible, like Bassett had just mentioned. Like I think that's a good word because it is hard to understand. But yeah, it's like so there of that big three umbrella of accents, right? Like each of them have their own very difficult accents to understand. And they're considered native speakers, right? Uh, so even with other accents that is outside of that, I think some of them are very understandable. Like for me, I find Singaporean accent pretty understandable. Um, just that they speak in English and then they add in a lot of la, right? It's like okay la, right? That kind of thing. And then the only other thing would just be their slang terminology, like chip. Like I'm gonna chip my tissue paper here. I'm gonna to stand in queue, right? So they have this kind of culture where they use tissue paper to um, help to determine like this is their seat or this is their place in line type of thing. And instead of saying the word line, they would say the word queue, right? To stand in queue instead of stand in line. So slight differences in that, but it's not too bad, right? I would find Japanese English really difficult depending on the person because some people just have a really gruff way of pronouncing words. So it's just really difficult to hear versus those that may have a more of a lighter tone. So instead of that gruff voice and like they're talking like kind of like with that deeper voice, like when they have a lighter voice, their pronunciations tend to be a little bit more pronounced and a lot more understandable. So some interesting things when it comes to understanding accents, but it just requires a lot of exposure. So yeah, that's basically my goal. So Bassett, like although we're talking about accent, the topic for today is different, but it just kind of deviated to talking about accents. But yeah, Chinese and Japanese and Chinese eat the words, especially fist and the last letter. Oh, especially the first and last letter. Okay. But other than that, I think that's all the questions and all the field questions that we got. So with that, like you, Bassett, I was very busy, so I didn't really have I don't have a lot of time to like keep the call going. It's been a long week, so I'm gonna knock out. Otherwise, I probably would fall asleep on the call on you guys right now. But with that, I call meeting adjourned, and thank you for participating, everybody. So next week, so I talked about this in the previous meeting because next week we're getting into other March things. So the Ides of March, right? So what is the Ides of March? How did it relate back to Julius Caesar back in those times? So hopefully this will be a little bit fun and maybe pull in Bonar because he was a little bit into Greek and maybe Roman mythology or history. But other than that, Call meeting adjourned, and thank you for participating, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Tom. Thank you all.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And here we go. Click.